I just want to be sure we're live and we're good to go. Um, Technology will always do technology stuff.
Yeah, very normal.
uh, so switch cam. Okay, it's loading. Just few seconds. View channel. Okay, yeah, I think yeah, it's showing that we're live. Yeah, awesome, perfect. We're live then.
Cool.
um, which is good. So, again, I would say welcome to Unmute. If you're joining for the very first time, yeah, my name is Yomi, and I will be the anchor of Unmute. Um, yeah, so what is Unmute? So, Unmute is basically where we bring in persons who are already in the industry to basically come showcase and talk about experiences, stuff they are going through within like the career space, what is changing, and I'll just probably like put it in summary, like a place where we come and rant. We unmute and rant about everything technology. So on our very pilot episode, which is exciting for me to run. We're having we're having Tosi Tosi Onikute. I don't know if that's the right
Yeah,
pronunciation.
that's the correct pronunciation,
Oh,
actually.
perfect. Yeah. So we're having Tosi Onikute on the episode today, and yeah, basically today's episode will just be talking about adapting into the technological wave. With more focus on how we can build core skills for the changing tech landscape. So, um, as I said, Tosin Rikite is our guest. He's a senior mobile engineer and he's basically focused on Kotlin, multi-platform, iOS, Android, and he's been in the space for quite a while. So just us getting started, we're just gonna have um, Tosin introduce himself very briefly, but just very shortly, I'll just mention the fact that Tosin has worked for companies like Check It, Plum, and Della, right? For most of us, we probably know Andela, and beyond that, he has really been someone who has had to adapt with the evolving tech industry. So, Tosin, very briefly, just let's have you introduce yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, so I'm Tosin, and I've I've been in the mobile space now, let's say 8 years. Before now, I used to be like a front end web developer, and then moved to mobile. I've been doing that for like 8 years now, working in companies like Andela, Bloom, and other like smaller fintech companies as well. For my career, I've worked with different teams, small teams, big size startups, and I've had to mix a couple of mixed experiences and the differences between both. Why you should choose one, why you shouldn't, and which one is better at the stage of your life. Depending on where you're starting, and all those things I learned as I continued my journey, and I didn't learn it all at once, right? So yeah, that's all about it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Tosi, for that very brilliant introduction. For those who are just getting to probably join, as I said earlier, this is On Mute, and it's basically a podcast where we explore unfiltered stories about you staying relevant with and resilient within the fast changing tech world. So whether you're pivoting into tech or probably you're just getting started or you're not sure of like the next move, whether tech is for you or tech is not for you, would be talking about such unfiltered stories, and you'd be able to know which direction is best for you. So it's not really about mobile application development because
Yeah.
yes, Tosi is a mobile application focused person. So yeah, so it's basically where you get to learn to adapt, where you get to learn to grow, where you learn to stay grounded in your career if you're already in your career. So let's get into it. Tosi, yeah, we're talking about adaptability in tech, and you definitely know the tech industry has had to change ever since we got to know of, let's say, anything technology. 1991, I think, when the internet got introduced, and it has even further evolved. What we knew as the internet back then is
Mhm.
different from what we know now. We used to know like Edge when it first probably got introduced in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then before you know it, it's 2G, 3G, 5G, and it's even gonna get even much more. So I'm just gonna start with the question: what does adaptability mean to you within the tech industry? If you can just just share.
So I would say in one word is be able to rapidly evolve with the changing times. Uh,
Mm,
Rapidly evolve means that you should be able to like adapt to new technologies and know when to adapt at the right time. So there's a caveat there whereby you the kind of person that always like to adapt rapidly, but then you can also do it at the wrong time, which might not favor your own pace as well. So first thing, you know how to adapt, and then know how to adapt at the right time. Also, be careful about the adaptation. Make sure like it goes in line with where you currently are in your journey, in your tech journey, right? And secondly, I would say you have to be like focused, like you have to be pragmatic. You have to be like not so much as a tool focused, but solution based focused,
mm,
meaning that um if you need to like find the best way to solve a problem rather than use one tool to solve every problem. Let me give you a
mm,
very simple example, right? Let's say you're a PHP engineer and you're already writing Laravel and you want to build a backend and you want to do like a couple of stuff and then you want to do like real-time applications. Yeah, because you're already using PHP Laravel. You want to just I can just build with Laravel, right? But then you want something like really fast. I want to like try something else that on the back end, maybe something as fast as Go, or depending on what you're building. If you need something like low level, you might want to go something like C++.
mm,
Yeah, so you need to like look for the best the best tool for the job, not just oh I learned one thing, let me use this one thing as a silver bullet to do everything that I need. So because people do that, they don't want to like learn new things.
mm,
I want to go through the stress of let me go and learn this new stuff. It takes time. Yeah, it
mm-hmm,
takes time. So, but the adaptability there is people shouldn't look at it like that. Oh, I'm trying to go and learn something new. You
mm,
find out that the new thing you want to go and learn, it will take you like a shorter time to actually implement what you want to implement with that new stuff you just learned.
mm,
The old existing stuff that you think, oh, I know this one thing, let me just use to solve every problem.
mm-hmm.
The silver bullet is should not be should not be encouraged.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I think it reminds me of a particular quote. I can't remember the full text of the quotes, but it was when I was starting my internship years back. And one of the things that my boss then said was, if you want to go fast, if you
Mhm.
okay, so basically it's more of you want to break a if you want to break down a tree, you have to first sharpen your axe,
Yeah.
right? So it's important that you as an individual you are able to learn to sharpen your skills
Mhm.
and be able to, because you sharpening your skill actually makes you more adaptable. I believe that is what you're more of saying, right?
Yeah. Yes, more of saying sharpen your skills, but not just that alone.
Mm,
Understand that there's a problem in front of you. What
mm,
tool is best used to solve this problem?
I
No,
see.
not I already know X. Let me just use X to solve the problem.
To solve the problem, you have to look for the right tools to solve the X
Yes,
problem.
yeah. Just think about like you're moving houses, right?
Mm,
You have a really nice car, but then you need a wagon to pick up the stuff, the boxes.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You could just use your car to move from house A to house B. It's going to take you like three times to move it, right?
definitely.
Or if you just get a van, it's going to move it once. Now it's going to take you, oh, like why should I go and get a van? I already have a car. But when you get a van, actually it's going to take you more stress to get the van. But when you get the
Mm-hmm.
van, the work actually becomes quicker, easier
Yeah,
and quicker. But the initial stress of going to get the van, it's going to take you a long time. And so
definitely.
it's a mental thing, right? So I've learned this over the years. Why should I just move to something else because I want to build a new thing? I
Mm,
think we should probably like try and learn more stuff that learn more tools that actually fits for the right purpose instead of trying to use one thing,
mm-hmm,
just everything, right? And the first thing I mentioned was evolving rapidly, right? So that's also depending on where we are at the point.
mm,
um, you can adapt by evolving rapidly, but at the same time, you need to be sure where you are. You've gained enough understanding of where you are before you try to move to something else. Let me just give you a brief example. Let's say you're doing like JavaScript. You're
mm-hmm,
trying to get the fundamentals of JavaScript. You started with it, and then you built some solid stuff with maybe you started with React, and then you've not really learned the fundamentals of React, and boom, you just want to like jump to Vue, right? Because I've learned something new. You just jump to Vue. No, learn, stay where you are, learn the
Mm,
fundamentals. Start from one single place, then build yourself up from that. Then you can now change rapidly. So
mm,
there's an edge case there. You have to be careful the way you are changing so that you will not be like you will not have premature learning. You not learn
mm,
prematurely. So that's one thing people need to take note of.
that makes a lot of sense. I think especially because technology changes fast. We don't get to we don't try to shift ourselves. We don't try to get out of the comfort zone. So I'll give an example. I myself, I wrote PHP. Now, for most persons, this is not a programming chat, but we're just going to
There-
chip in a
There's no
little
way
bit
it
of
will come up. There's no way.
yeah. There's no way it won't come up. It's who we are anyway. So I used to write programming language PHP for like a major part of my life, and I was speaking with a friend of mine one time. I was like, "Oh, I'm looking for new jobs," and he was like, "Oh, what language do you write?" And I said PHP. I was like, "Guy, you're still writing PHP," you know. And although while I had evolved over time, I write Node.js and a couple of other languages, but I just felt, quite comfortable with the fact that, well, PHP, I can just easily do it. It's like right at the behind my head, So it's usually difficult sometimes. So let me take it from here now to basically asking you, probably like you sharing a moment where you've had to reinvent how you work or think by virtue of the fact that you have to be adaptable.
Hmm. Yeah, several moments to be honest.
Yeah.
Several moments. I think one of the big shifts that I found is as I go up the ladder in terms of like technical knowledge, I discovered
Mm.
that right, like writing more code does not necessarily mean you're more competent.
Mm.
Tricky because a lot of companies like senior level management, they actually think, oh, they look at the your output of work. Oh, you've written more code. This one is working.
Mm.
Is the person that actually does the architecture that matters. So the first thing is they give you something to do. So right now, I know that I need to understand the problem very well first before you try to solve to write any code. So understand
Mm.
first before you code, not code first. While you're coding, now start trying to understand, right? So as a lot of top level architects, they actually like spend a lot of time architecting more than they write code.
Mm.
Yeah, so oftentimes you might see somebody like in the senior level upper management talking about, oh, we're going to like, oh, check the amount of code people are churning out because they don't actually understand how it works. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they don't have. That's why sometimes companies like Meta prefer people who are engineers to be also grow up onto their senior level management into the business world, so they will understand how it works. Like when the flow goes down below. So that's a
Mm.
very big thing that I learned. How to architect, like how I think basically about problems. I have to think to solve the problem instead of jumping to code the solution first. So that saves you a
Mm.
lot of time.
It does. It does. It
Saves you
does.
a lot of time.
That's one fascinating thing I think because as an engineer myself, I know at some early levels when I'm probably like preparing for interviews, one of the things I've told is don't just jump straight into writing code. Like look at the problem holistically.
Mhm.
And I think it's one of those challenges. I've also had to interview other persons, and when we just talk about, oh, I'm looking at this problem I'm trying to solve, and the next thing is the guy is just like coming back with some script. I'm like, I've not even asked you to write any code yet. You're not ChatGPT that you tell a problem, and the next thing the guy has brought a lot of code in itself. So I think it's. I think one of the things is us actually understanding the fact that whether you're a software engineer or
Mhm.
not, I think it is not about us trying to bring in the quickest solution
Mhm.
first, but actually analyzing problems, trying to see different ways through which problems could be solved. And I think it's one of those things that could help us to be more adaptable.
Yeah.
Even if we're not a software engineer, or even if you're a software engineer, it helps you to be able to, whether I'm writing JavaScript, whether I'm writing Go, whether I'm writing whatever language,
It doesn't matter
um,
really.
it doesn't matter. That mindset of, okay, how do we effectively solve a problem? Because I think most of the time, and you can also try and look at it, like probably like give a feedback around this. Most of the time, I think we we are more of coders as to software engineers, and I think this is the last conversation about software engineers I'm going to talk about. We are more of like, okay, let me just write this code and solve this problem. So we think so much as to how I write the code and how I solve a problem. Do you share the same thoughts? And how do you think we can handle stuff like this?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, let me just go and quickly and write a code to solve the problem, right? So it depends on the type of problem you're trying to solve, right?
Mm,
It's a very short, small problem, but then you have to remember what's the impact of the solution I'm giving.
mm,
So don't think about the impact of the solution they are giving actually when somebody else is read what you're doing. So it depends if you're working, if you're just a one man team, you're working on this. Okay, what's the impact of your solution? It's going to solve this problem. Are there any edge cases? That's number
mm,
one. Number two, if you're working in a team, you have to think about the solution that I'm providing, this code I'm writing. I want to write this really fast. Okay, fine, cool. Are other people going to understand my code easily? Like
mm,
when they see it's something like people can get by. They don't have to like start reading through comments, trying to understand like what I'm trying to do. In which that's another word entirely, right? Trying to like tell people this is what I'm trying to do instead of writing the thing in such a way whereby people can just look at it and understand, right? So
mm,
do it the right way the first time, right? So it's really important that people just take their time before you're trying to take their time to think about the problem before you try to solve the problem.
mm, mm, mm.
It's something that something that you learn over time.
Mm-hmm.
You learn over time, actually.
Cool, cool,
Because
cool. So, so,
no, no,
oh
no,
yeah, sorry.
no one actually like mentored, made mentions of all of this. And I started like, oh, like you should think about the problem very well before you know, go and try and solve the problem. So it's
Mm.
really, really important.
That makes sense. So I'll ask a follow up question on that. Now, for you as an engineer,
Mhm,
what are those core skills or mindsets that has really helped you stay grounded? Yeah, you've talked about a few of them,
mhm.
but like the core skills that you've intentionally had to develop by yourself and has really helped you to stay grounded, even despite the change in technology nowadays.
Yeah. So the thing is, this is kind of a popular one. Just be willing to learn new stuff.
Mm,
Yeah, be willing to learn new stuff and try and shut the doors against any negative. Oh, say, oh, don't learn this new stuff.
yeah.
Blah blah. It's overhyped. Don't worry, just learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Just learn it and see where it takes you, right? So just be willing to learn as new stuff coming. Just willing to learn, and also you can just watch out for changes and see how other people are kind of like reacting to it. Are other people adapting? Are they actually implementing this new stuff? Willing to learn some new things. For example, if you put me in a team, right, I would rather prefer to work with a group of people who are willing to learn new stuff and someone who just want to like keep doing what they're doing the old way they used to do it.
Mm,
I join a team whereby there are two types of people. Someone who wants to do things the regular way they used to do it for like 6 years, 7 years ago, and then you start having clash, start fighting,
mm,
like
mm,
on in meetings. Oh, let's stick to this way. We have been doing it like this. That's been working. Why not just continue doing like this? I'm like, yo, we can try something new,
mm-hmm.
like new ways to solve these problems, right? Let's try something new. So these are one of the things you have to be willing to learn. To be fair, to be honest, not
Mm.
like a major thing.
Oh.
And you need to understand that the it needs not to be too emotional with your code. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just put it that way. Yeah, don't be too emotional with your code or the work that you've done because
Mm,
you can always improve on the work. Because when you look back, a lot of the projects you've done, you discover that oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this
mm,
better, I could have done that better. But when you think about it, at that time that you did it, you thought it was like the best thing since sliced bread, right? So now, right now, when you go back and look at your work, you be like, "Oh, I should have done this. I should have done that." That's
yeah.
that's that's how it is, really.
Mm.
We need to
That, that,
learn.
that, that's another beautiful way to look at it. So let's look at people who are in between,
Mhm,
career transitions, people who are trying to learn. Now, for someone who is just entering into the tech ecosystem, now someone who's probably like from a non-coding background,
mhm,
what are those things you would say they should not obsess over? Now, I've had a number of persons come to me as an individual and say, "Oh, Yomi, I'm looking to get into tech." Some people are saying, it's project management, oh, it's cybersecurity, oh, it's software engineering. I still spoke with someone yesterday, and he basically was torn in between cybersecurity and DevOps. And I wasn't just so sure of the best way because when he spoke with a DevOps person, the person said, "Oh, DevOps is it." And he spoke with the cybersecurity person. I was like, "It's cybersecurity, okay." Now, me, I'm a software engineer. I won't obviously tell you to come into software engineering.
Oh yeah.
So now, for someone who is from a non-coding background, now, what are those core things you tell them not to unnecessarily obsess over?
So this advice is both from whether you're from a non-coding background or from a
Mm,
coding background, really.
mm,
So the first thing is I would say try your hands on things that are the resources that are available to you. For
mm,
example, you said this person wanted you to do cybersecurity and they wanted to do maybe software engineering and some other thing, data analytics, right? So the thing is, number one, what you like to do, the kind of person you are also determines, are you a creative person? Are you a more analytical person? Are you a more numbers person? So you need to find out those what you are from the inception, first of all. Obviously, numbers, people who are good with numbers, they go into such like accountancy and stuff like that.
mm,
And so you need to find out what you are from that is from your core. Who are you really? What kind of things do you like? Are you a more creative person? Right? Are you more like you like security? Are you kind of person like numbers, like
mm,
designs? So once you ask that thorough question, okay, so what next? So what are the resources that are available to me? And what I feel is sometimes you might actually want to go into a particular direction, but the opportunity that are open to you might be on the other direction.
mm-hmm,
Don't be worried, right? Pick up something and start from there. For example, you might want to go into product management, but the opportunities that come to your way is data analytics. Start from there. Start from
mm,
analytics. Start from that data analytics. I'm telling you, when you start from that data analytics, you find out, okay, you start from there. Those experiences that would have helped you in product management, from that data analytics, you will build yourself up in that place. And
mm,
even from that team, when they see what you're passionate about, I'm telling you, opportunities will open up for you as long as the experience you're building that experience, right? You don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity to start something. You need to start somewhere. So you
mm,
need to start somewhere at the time. And as you grow, you begin to like streamline yourself into more like a more linear approach where okay you get the exact thing you're looking for. So at the beginning of your career, you may not get those opportunities. The opportunities that may come your way may not be the opportunities that you want. So instead
mm-hmm,
of just waiting, take what you have that is close to your core skills and then flow with it, right? So that's the first thing. That's those are the two major things I'll tell them, which
mm,
is this advice. It could be for whether you're technical or they are non-technical, right? Those are the two. Those are the two things I would say.
mm, mm. So it's more of yeah, learn the core skills, yes, but leverage the position you are. So
Yeah.
let's say someone is like a customer service person trying to get into project management. There
Mhm.
are tiny bits of that customer service, I'm sorry, of that customer service that actually is project focused. So
Yes.
yes, while you're learning, let's say like project management, start exploring that project management within that space
Yeah.
such that when you're trying to maybe like apply for a job and they're asking you for your project management experience, you can leverage the customer service mix into the project and
Mhm.
stuff you've done in that space. Am I
Yes.
correct?
You are correct, and it's funny
Mm.
because you mentioned that, and because I've seen people in that scenario, right? So I working in a company before. I'm not mention the name of the company. We had people in the customer service, and even the way I interact with them, I didn't have this conversation with them, but I knew where each of them will end up
Mm.
because I knew the one that was way more product focused and the one that's like customer centric focused.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know the ones that don't really care, like whatever the customer thinks. They're paying my salary at the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
So, and when I look at them after like a couple of years, I knew where each of them ended. Because the thing is, when you speak to a customer, trying to find out what's the problem of the customer, and then you now say, oh, wow, okay, the problem this customer is having is a missing requirement on the app. So you write a feedback to the app team and say, this. I suggest, why don't we do this, and this, right? So that person that made that suggestion, before you know it, you are thinking in a product manner.
Mm.
Something that you don't, it's something that comes naturally to some people, and some people have to learn it. But it means you're thinking your product manner. If this is missing from the product, it should be
Mm-hmm.
there. Just
Mm-hmm.
give them the feedback, right? Meanwhile, some people will like speak to that same customer and be like, "We don't have this feature. We don't have it, please." So and that will be the end of it, right? So if you
Mm,
leave that same, like you can see like 5 or 7 people in customer service team, give them like 3 4 years, you see that
mm,
you will see where each of them, some of them will end up, right? So from anywhere you are, you can learn product management from anywhere you are. Those skills will come up anywhere, whether you're working
mm.
for yourself, whether you're working for a company, the skills will come up. So that's it. You're absolutely correct.
No, that makes sense then. So now, while we're talking about this, now we have new devs, new developers, or even people who are transitioning
Mhm,
that usually fall into certain traps or myth. For example, like I mentioned, project management. For example,
mhm.
especially we are in the UK, and we would have people who say, "Oh, project management is the new thing. Project management is the easiest career path for anyone to just enter through. And if you enter into tech through project management, every other thing is easy, right?" So that's an example. So have you seen any other such myth or traps that you think people who are probably like new within the tech ecosystem, those that are transitioning, or even developers that you've experienced them, fall into?
Yeah, I've seen those traps that, oh, this is more easier, that's more easier. Well, depending on the opportunities that are available to those people,
Mm,
right? So it
mm,
might be that at that time, a lot of project management opportunities are available. So they if it's available, you take those opportunities.
mm,
So some parts have low barrier of entry, whereby you can easily get in. Some
mm-hmm,
parts, some people would say, even though I don't agree with them so much, that front end has a low barrier of entry, right? That, oh, front end engineers, you can easily enter. Project management, you can easily enter. Yes, fine, it's good, but at the end of the day, you get to that point and then you see that you're struggling. You can't really like
mm,
branch out, can't really move up. You stay there,
yeah.
right? Another thing is, project management is kind of really broad. Can be a project management in a construction company, project manager in a construction company, can be a product manager in a company that are working on two different products that don't even have anything related to each other.
Mm-hmm,
And then, I mean, it's wild out there, like the kind of project that people are managing. You can see somebody managing maybe an application, another part of the company, do something completely different, and you're told to manage those two things. So it's tough when you get inside project management itself. So and then you can now elevate yourself. You can now like evolve into product management, as in managing a product for a company.
mm,
All right. So if you just get into it and think, okay, it's something that it is easy to enter, fine. If the opportunities are there, please take the opportunities and start it. Now, when you get into it, you have to like do a lot of research, read
mm,
more, so you know the areas in product management so that you want to like focus on, right? But product management, I mean, project management is a big term. It encompasses a lot of things,
mm-hmm,
right? So they need to like streamline themselves into one area and say, okay, for example, if you're a project management in a construction company, it's different from project management. Project management is another thing, right? So project management is just a broad term. So what are you managing? That's the thing. Did you get? So it's very important. Just say, oh, it's easy to just get into it. Fine,
mm.
but you need to know what you're doing and which aspects, and also how are you going to elevate your career from that point that you entered, and then what direction do you want to take yourself to. So that's that thing.
That makes sense. So now, based on this, how do they now what are those things you'd recommend, for example, that such persons now stay in the sense of them trying to be adaptable while they are growing?
Mhm.
um um what are those learning bits that you'd say you recommend them to actually pay attention to, or probably like focus on learning more, in that sense? So yes, I'm having to probably like, okay, I'm not falling into the normal usual career myth and all of those things, as to the fact that, okay, like I give an example, project management. So what are those things that you say, these are this, focus on this, focus on that, focus on this, it will be able to help you grow further? And this is basically looking at the future now.
Mhm.
Yes, we have talked about you coming from the past and having to handle the adaptability challenges. Now,
Mhm.
going forward, now, what are those things that you think they can be able to embrace more, and will be able to help them remain more adaptable within, their career space, and even moving through the ladder of their career?
Yeah, so I would say, right, so we are talking about project people who are into project management, right?
whether project management or
Or
not.
people are into like non-coding
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coding careers, right? You know, the funny thing, right, is the best way actually for people who are non-coding careers is to do the things who are in coding careers do. Let me give you examples. So the thing is they need to actually research, do a lot of research and try and keep up with the changing times. It's going to help them a lot, right? So for example, right, let's say you're managing whatever product you're managing, whatever project you're working on.
Mm,
There's some changes happening in that industry. There are some community gatherings happening in that industry, some meetups, even in non-tech careers that are happening in that industry. So you need to like try and follow up the trends that are changing. Okay, what are these new things that are changing? Like the reason why I'm saying this is because there's some things you learn in school. The school will just teach you like the fundamentals, really.
mm-hmm,
So how you carry that and you go forward is by self-learning. Now, why I'm saying that they have to like kind of emulate what people who are in tech careers are doing is because if you get into a tech career, by default, right, is we are required, it's expected for us to just keep learning. It's expected for us, oh, developers, you have to keep learning. But when you look at it, every aspect of life too, you actually have to keep learning,
mm-hmm,
really. So for you to actually get better, you have to keep learning. You have to like put your ears down, like what are the new changes, things that are happening. Number one. Number two, you have to also like network.
mm-hmm,
You can't be the only one in your career path, or just one you or your friend, just two
mm,
people. They have to meet like a network, have a gathering, have a community of people, whatever career path you are, whether it's marketing, whether it's growth,
mm,
that is project management. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. You have to just find a group of people where you are, because one of the reasons is like opportunities. For
mm,
example, there might be an opportunity somewhere, because if you already build a community where you are, somebody can just link you to that opportunity. Even on LinkedIn, we have like second level, first level connection, third level connections, right? You might want to send a connection to somebody, and if you verse yourself with communities of your own career path, somebody might know somebody that knows somebody that you might need to connect with. Is really important.
mm,
So
mm,
you jump through all those hoops and you just get linked to that person, and then you might get the job or get that whatever opportunity that is. So it's really important, right, to network. It's really important to make sure you're part of whatever community that you are. Always try and learn new stuff. Whatever you learned maybe in uni, honestly, it's just the basic they teach us at uni. Yeah, honestly, yeah, you can't just stay with that, right?
mm,
Yeah, so those are the two major things. But whatever career that you are, you need to just do those two things. Make sure you're learning, trying to adapt to new stuff, and make sure you're joining like a community. Don't just be
mm,
one or two persons that you know who are also doing the same thing you're doing. That's not good enough.
mm.
That's
Yeah,
say, yeah.
that makes sense. We met in a community, for example,
Yes.
and I'm sure if we were not in that particular community together, the chances of us probably like having a conversation is almost close to zero. Yeah, and there's so much to what we can do together as individuals, being because of just this collaboration or just this conversation.
Yeah.
And I know the number of people I've had to meet within the space of. I used to be someone that was not much of was community. I would do everything by myself and
Yeah.
all. But I grew to a point where every growth that I had, which was exponential, was by
Yeah.
virtue of community.
True.
Every single growth I had was by virtue of community. So I think a lot of people underestimate the position of community and the 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 opportunities that community actually hold. Now, for someone who this is just a random one. Now, for someone who would say, "Oh, I'm a shy person. I just usually want to keep in my shell." I have people like that within my circle. Even people that would have to set up communities together, yet they just don't want to be
Yeah. True.
involved. Now, how do they now? And we're basically talking about more of people who are so inward
Mm-hmm.
than So introverts, how do they handle stuff around community? They find it quite difficult having to say, okay, I just want to drop a message to this person. What would they think of me? How would they embrace me? How do people like this embrace, or how do they embrace the idea of building community or leveraging community? How would you recommend?
So I would say start from small circles. That's the thing. Start
Yeah.
from small circles of people you trust, and then build connections. that way. So because no matter how shy or maybe introverted you are, if you are first of all, if you are with the people you trust, you build like connections with them and say, oh,
Mm,
let's start something, and then from there you get to meet new people. So what I find is that people who are introverted or shy, it's not like they're really shy. So when they're among like people that they know, they actually like speak a lot.
free.
They're actually really free. So those are the main things. And so don't just do things alone. Do it like a couple of people. Just call one
Mm,
or two people together. Well, let's start something. And then when you go, even though you're not the one making the direct connection, a friend of yours is making that connection, and then that makes you comfortable because your friend is comfortable with that person, and that's how
mm,
you build your connection. Now, speaking in public places as well, right? You have to start from small connections also, because let's say I want to go and speak somewhere. I've not spoken in a gathering of 50 people, and I'm giving a gathering like let's say a hall of 1,000 people. I'll be worried, right? Yeah, I'm just like yeah, it's like a training into an ocean.
mm,
Exactly. So I would say just start really small, 50 people, 20 people, 25 people. I'm telling you. If for those that are in uni, or if you can in your uni, you can just volunteer to go and take a class in your uni, something like that. Or like maybe like a alumni, they can just bring
mm-hmm.
you as an expert. The people in that class most likely not more than 20. Yeah, so this is and it's also a familiar ground for you. If it's your own uni, you can just like take them and then teach them a couple of things, and then you start from there and you start building your confidence from there. And yeah, it's going to be good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that one. I think for someone like myself, I'm in between the. I'm not so introverted, but I'm more of an ambivert. So when I'm within comfortable circles, I am like everything.
Hmm.
But when I'm like in like maybe like new circles, I'm like, okay, let me observe these people first before I let's go and let's go, you know.
Yes.
And I never tried to um I never tried to leverage community at the early phase of stuff. But just like you said, I started with people that are around me when I
Hmm.
started even conversations like this, public conversations. As much as I don't have problems with public conversations, I just usually would not want to, right? But I
Yeah.
started with people within my local sphere, and before you know it, it made it easy for me to be able to relate even further and even to be able to leverage relationships. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So right now we're just going to be going into a few like quick fire round, right? And I'm just going to be asking you a few questions, right?
Mhm.
So very sharp, and we move. All right. So one tech trend that you think is currently overhyped?
Yeah, it's funny. You would have imagined what my answer would be.
Don't say AI.
You'd have imagined what my answer would be. I'm definitely going to say AI, but for a different reason entirely. I'm
Why?
definitely going to say AI. So AI is overhyped, not by the people, not by the
Mm,
people using it, but by the
mm,
companies trying to lie about the adoption.
mm,
So it's not by us. We like a lot of us enjoy AI. We enjoy the usage. We don't have any problems with it. I'm not even
mm,
complaining about it, right? So the companies are saying that oh AI is going to take up people's jobs. So the companies that are actually like leveraging on this and trying to create like a buzz which is not even there, right?
mm.
For example, Meta saying oh like the AI is doing like what mid-level engineers are doing. Trust me, it's not. Or whoever is trying to say, oh, they want to, they can vibe code. You can't actually vibe code and push that thing and deploy it. Try it and let's see.
End to end zero.
Zero. So people have been trying to do that. It hasn't been working,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So it's overheard by the companies, but by the people who use it, like the regular people, we enjoy it. We enjoy AI, right? And there are some other places where AI should not even be adopted. Company like
mm,
Meta, adopting AI several places. My own personal opinion, a place like WhatsApp, trying to like
mm.
AI everywhere. On my WhatsApp, what's AI doing there, man?
It's
Right?
probably the least. It's probably the least used feature on that app, really.
It's probably the use feature on their app. And you know what? They're not they actually know, but they have metrics of checking this thing. They know what it is. And they actually know like whether people are using it or not. But you know what? They don't care because the VCs they want to see AI in applications, right? They don't
I
care.
think it's more of gathering data, really. I would. That's me.
Yeah, maybe it's more carrying data, but they already have our data already. So like you already have enough data. Meta has enough data. They can
Mm-hmm,
tell you
mm-hmm,
what you're going to do in the next 4 or 5 years if they want,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because they already have it.
mm,
So I mean, we the people love AI. The companies are just overhyping it, right? So the hype is not coming from us, the people, coming from the companies saying they're going to
mm,
replace developers and all. Number one, number two, companies are using AI as a sort of, oh, like AI are coming to replace developers, so we don't need developers anymore, as maybe trying to, maybe they want to make a layoff, announce a layoff. It's just an excuse for them, really. They actually want to announce a layoff. They should just go ahead and announce, right? Companies are using AI as the reason. People have been
mm,
laying off like years since the pandemic happened, right? And there was no
mm.
AI boss at that time. So so it's just from the companies, honestly.
Oh, okay. Well, so let's move on to the next one. A book, a course, or a resource that has shaped your thinking.
Yeah, I would say Robert C. Martin, there's a clean architecture book. Uh,
Mm, yeah.
I actually shaped my thinking. And so the thing about the book is that the way it's like, so when I started reading the book, I enjoyed it. It's not just about um yes, so you you actually have the book there, yes. So it's
Yeah.
not just about the fact that you have to do
I
everything,
have it.
yes, everything in the book like cover to cover. No. It's just like trying to understand when you're building applications, right?
Mm,
It should be whatever layers that you are, it should be like there should be domain knowledge, which is handling domain. There should be data knowledge, which is handling data. It tells you like, okay, there's separation between one layer
100%.
and the other layers, yes.
Mm,
Right. And why when you're building applications, it should not be like platform centric. Oh, it's because I'm building a backend, so that's why I cannot do this. Because I'm building a mobile app. No, it doesn't have to be like that.
mm, mm,
Application is built in a certain manner. The flow of the application itself is very important, right? So people have beef. I discovered that people have beef with this thing, with this book and the author, because they try to dump the knowledge or the things that they learn, the concept that they learn into every use case,
mm-hmm,
which is not supposed to be so, right? You have to like read understand what is in the book. Try, okay, you have this use case.
mm,
How can you adapt? What can you adapt? Which ones can you take away? Which ones can you modify? That's how it's, instead of having beef with the author of the book or with the book itself. There's a lot of beef against this man. I don't know why, against the book. I love the book, honestly. There's another one again by Clean Agile, by this
yes.
person, same author. If the thing about Clean Agile is, when reading the book makes me understand that Agile was actually made for developers, not even project managers.
Mm,
For developers, for us to find a way to work quickly. Now, a lot of things you see, right? Agile, like project managers starting meetings, endless meetings, things that should be discussed, let's say like in 2 minutes, they discuss it for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, right?
mm,
So it's going what against what Agile is trying to do, trying to make us work in a faster way, whereby we don't waste time, we just work on delivery and iteration, right? So I learned a lot from that book as well. For the agile book, I think it's back to basics, agile, and when by the same person. There are a
yeah,
couple of books also, but those books are more platform centric,
very well.
more Kotlin, so it's not a general book. This one is more general.
Mm, yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And that makes sense. Okay, so next question itself is a belief that you held early in your career that has shifted.
Hmm. I believe that I heard early. Yes. This one is funny, right? Because some people are still, I see some people still adopting this thing when I join some companies, some new companies, and I just smile like, okay. For example, one of it is writing complex code.
Mm,
So I work with developers whereby they write really complex stuff, right? They're supposed to do something and wondering like, bro, we can actually simplify this to make it easier to write, easier to read. For
mm,
example, like using one liners, we are supposed to like make it more readable, right? So if you use the one liner, it makes you look like, oh yeah, like you write everything in one line and then you return an output like, bro, write it, make it more readable for the user, right?
mm,
Makes you look like, oh, you know what you're doing, you're more professional if you write code that is not even easier to read,
mm-hmm.
right? But in the long run, you're making it more harder for whoever is going to join the team to pick up as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I really like. I see a lot of people doing it. I'm wondering, that's not the way, that's not the way it's done. right? So whenever I see that code, anywhere I'm working, any code,
Mm.
I try and simplify the code. Like,
Yeah.
just make this thing easy to read. Forget about trying to meant to make yourself look like, oh, writing something complex.
Mm-hmm.
Then secondly is about writing more code. People think the more code you write, the more work you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shift in mental change because a lot of people still don't understand, especially non-technical project managers. They
Mm-hmm.
don't understand this, right? So, for example, a non-technical project manager will see your work and say, "Wow, 1,000 lines of code. Wow, this is a great job." But then, if you bring that same project with 100 lines of code, if people like say, "What have you been doing since? Just this thing you have been writing?" No, right? So if you you're solving problems, actually solving problems, right, doesn't mean you're writing a lot of code. No,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's not about the amount of code you're writing, but how you're actually solving the problem. Some problems might even take you like days to solve, but it might be one liner, right? So it's not about the amount of code, right? So that kind of changed my mindset and
Mm-hmm.
the way I kind of, when I'm talking to somebody or when I'm in a team, try to explain some things,
Yeah.
which is why sometimes a lot of engineers prefer working with technical project managers because you don't have to explain all of these things. They already
Yes.
understand
Yes.
it. They understand. So those are the two things I would say.
Oh, cool. All right. So if you are not in tech, what will you be doing today? Don't say farming.
Nah. To be honest, I'll be because I'm more my on my core. I'm more like creative person,
Oh, great.
like filmmaker.
Oh, that would be great. I
I think
used
my
to want to be different things in my career. Cinematography was one of them.
yeah, I like it just because in my core I'm more like creative, right? Sometimes I watch movies and I'm like, God, who wrote this? Who wrote this story?
Mm, mm.
Terrible. Like they can do better than this. So more like filmmaker, creating like stories, like writing whatever. I also like documentaries,
Mm.
things that happen, like make more research about the events, the assumptions that people have, get them together, create a documentary about it. Yeah, maybe I'll get to do it later in the future when I've made some really cool stuff, and I can
That
do it, something I'll do outside of tech.
that'll be super interesting. I think when engineering becomes fully taken over by AI,
Yeah.
you can go back into your cinematography technology. AI won't take over that. I think maybe
Yeah.
not.
Funny thing is, I actually saw someone
Maybe.
doing that. Someone who is an engineer, who used to work at YouTube. He just moved and
Mm.
just focused on filmmaking. He's actually really
Wow.
big engineer. The guy is a YouTuber and he used to be on a YouTuber. I used to work at YouTube actually, funny enough, as a,
Oh.
as an iOS engineer, and then he moved from there and started creating movies.
Oh, that's exciting,
That
really.
was yeah, that was fun watching
That, that
him.
makes that
Yeah,
makes sense. But when you're done with engineering, you're most likely going to farming.
farming.
Yeah, that's the dream of most engineers
No,
when they're done with.
yeah, yeah. I would. It depends on where you are really. I
Well,
would say
yeah.
it depends on where you are really. If you're in like places like in, let's say, Northern Europe, it's like Finland, you probably like want to start farming
Exactly.
because it's more exciting in those places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
in Nigeria.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have other interesting things you want to do, not farming. But they like,
Ex-
yeah, farming is really cool for them. Nah, not for us.
I can imagine. But anyway, thank you very much, Jose, for the wonderful session. It was really amazing having to talk about adaptability in tech,
Yeah.
especially for persons who are trying to, build the relevant skills that can help them through their
Mhm.
tech journey from end to end. And just for a few persons that maybe are just tuning in, I'll just mention a few things that Tosin mentioned. And one of them is the fact that adaptability makes it easy for you to shift easily. So even when technology evolves, when there's a change, you are able to shift easily with it because you're not stuck onto the old ways of doing things. So be willing to shift, be willing to learn new skills, the right skills that you'll be able to use for the right project, whether you're in tech or not. And
Mhm.
for people who are looking to get into communities, you can start from small spaces, even
Yeah.
if you're shy. Leverage the small circles, your immediate community,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's really been amazing having this chat with you, the
Yeah.
pilot edition. If you're looking to, connect with Tosi, I've dropped the link in the chats. You can get to connect with Tosi. Is on LinkedIn. Tosi Onikute, right? Let me just get
Right.
that right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Onikute. I've just been praying to get that right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
perfect. And yes, I would love to get your feedback. It's the first episode, and I'm willing to actually um, get this done the right way. It's the first time I'm trying something
Yeah.
of this nature, and would like to invite, even if you have certain persons you'd like to see on stage, where you'd like to have them come and share their stories, to share their journey, their advice, and every other thing. Please, please invite or talk. Probably like drop me a DM or something. I would
So,
love to see and have them next on Unmute. So yes, Toast, it was rich. It was enduring.
yes.
It was
Yes.
having to. It was exciting having to see you talk about the role of mobile, and as well the mind shifts change in itself, and having to talk about the fact that AI is not ready to take over jobs. For
Right.
sharing so openly. Thank you very much. As I said, listeners, you can find us on LinkedIn. And if this episode really gave you something to think about, please share it. Please rate it. We'd like to see your rating. And please join next time as we continue to explore what it really takes to grow in tech. So, as I close, I say this is Unmute. Get to see you later. Bye bye.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I